Welcome to the Mental Insights Podcast. This is your host, Brennan Catulli, here today for episode number 43 with Dr. Nicki Steinberger. Nicki faced many challenges throughout her early life, throughout many different opportunities of transformation. At age 45, Nicki completed a master's in spiritual psychology and a PhD in clinical psychology. Little did she know that she was tested and diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Throughout many different opportunities of awareness and education, Nicki then wrote her own book, Wave Goodbye to Type 2 Diabetes, 16 Holistic Practices to Prevent and Reverse Diabetes and Reclaim Joy, Vitality, and Plenty. Throughout this episode, Nicki and I speak about her personal experiences within mental health issues, what she was able to do to treat and reverse her own diabetes through holistic approaches, and also what we could do in a society to negate some of these health challenges that we truly are in control over. Nutrition is one of the most vital aspects of the human condition. It's something that we need to focus on. We need to feed our mind and body the correct nutrients daily. Nicki provides the insights into this message throughout this conversation that we have today. Please enjoy the 43rd episode of the Mental Insights Podcast with Dr. Nicki Steinberger. Please share any insights that you find throughout this episode. I thank you all for listening. Thank you for listening to the Mental Insights Podcast. This is your host, Brennan Catulli, and we are here today for episode number 43 of the Mental Insights Podcast with Dr. Nicki Steinberger. Thank you for taking this time out with me, Nicki. I appreciate it, and I'm so excited to speak more about the work that you do and the insights that you have within the field of mental health.
Thank you, Brendan. I'm excited to be here, and it's my honor to share my work with your listeners.
Thank you so much. And I'm excited to connect and build the community around mental health and, share some of the insights that you have. And the first question that I really love to ask my guests gives a good interpretation of, what brought you into the field, what made you aware, and, that being, when did you first become aware of mental health, its importance, and really what kind of factors it played within your day-to-day role as a human?
Yeah, that's interesting. When I thought about that, what came to mind immediately was my first exposure was when I found spirituality, really. And that would be about, maybe I was 15 years old, and I came into contact with the book Be Here Now by Ram Dass and went down that whole road, and it opened up that door to the mind and psychology, spirituality, philosophy, and that there was this place where our awareness could be heightened and we could be in touch with our awareness and have a reality or explore life, beyond the five senses.
Thank you for sharing that. And, to quickly just build off that, I think it's truly remarkable that at such a young age you were, aware of, or really even just shown the aspects of spirituality, psychology, many of these things that people don't come in touch with until, later on, once they're fully developing, throughout their 20s or even beyond. And, what was there kind of a sense or like a change of perspective and awareness just within yourself of like perceiving reality as you were changed within this period of spirituality and psychology? Because I think at a young age that could be, a completely new window or opportunity that you may see within your life. So was there any, kind of drastic change as you started to enter in this, field of education?
I think coming into it felt like karma because it felt so familiar in a sense. It felt so right, like, almost like a coming home or, oh, I found myself, as much as could be at age 15. I don't even remember how I found, Be Here Now or other books or other mediums. I mean, the internet wasn't around yet, but I felt like I was divinely guided to that place. And the transformation, yeah, I mean, it was an opening. I think it was the beginning of an exploration into finding myself, and then how I related to myself, how I related to other people, and what I believed then started to believe to be true, in life. I remember back then, the idea of like reincarnation being important to me, or upfront, and the idea that we are a spirit or a soul, and kind of coming into contact with that awareness. I think that we move through life differently if that's part of our identity and how we view the world.
I completely agree. And I think it offers such a unique perspective, just, like you said, in terms of your relationships and how you connect and interact with other people. And, as you were becoming aware, was there kind of a new change in how you were interacting or, caring or appreciating the people around you and even yourself? Did you see any kind of change within, your connection with yourself and other people as you, found this true meaning of the mind, the body, and the spirit?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to remember back then, but what comes to mind is connecting with people on the level of whatever I felt was spirit or soul at that time. So a deeper level, wanting to look beyond the body, wanting to look beyond the senses, um, always having a desire to go deeper, to sort of seek out the truth or the heart of the matter. That's always been my focus in life.
It's definitely such a valuable one at that, because there's many different roles and aspects of humans that we do even lose sight of, and we oftentimes can't even come into grasp or come into the awareness of what's going on. And I think that's one thing that people do kind of lack the awareness of, is even just the body in terms of what can be impactful, such as nutrition, exercise, sleep, some basic necessities that can drive large factors within our own health. And for yourself, when did you find how important nutrition was within your life, and just, trying to treat your body as the same respect as your mind and as your spirit?
What's interesting, I think early on, I probably negated and pushed away the body aspect as I was coming into spirituality, and as that was, the highlight, and, well, we're not our bodies, kind of thing. I mean, I remember I probably wrote that and spoke that, and that was like a thing. And, when we're younger, we often don't feel the effects of poor nutrition, and we often don't have symptoms that raise a red flag. So at a certain point, I started studying nutrition. Again, it was just like an organic extension of what I was interested in, and I became a vegetarian, which is not where I'm at now, but I was a vegetarian for 38 years. So that was part of my spirituality, loving the animals and such. And, along the way, it's been proven to me how critical nutrition is and what we consume. how that affects our mental health, of course, physical health, and our mood.
Definitely. It truly has many factors. And, like you said, there's mood impacts, there's behavioral aspects that happen that many don't really take into place. And, as you had that transition from, negating the body to seeing how impactful it was, were you able to see the change in just your mood and behavior? And, kind of what were some of the, awareness, aspects that you had throughout this process of seeing how feeding your body directly changes your thoughts, emotions, behaviors, moods?
Yeah, I think it wasn't, until a bit later in life where I really put it together, where it wasn't good nutrition or what I thought was good nutrition at the time for the sake of good nutrition, or for the sake of um, being into um, food as medicine in a sense. But about 10 years ago, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And that's when it really all started coming together, because I was trying to finish grad school, and then I started having some hardcore symptoms of intense fatigue and these like tremor things where I would, shake and really not feel well at all. And then my mood was, I was getting angry. There's like this thing called diabetic rage, and my mood was really all over the place. So it was about that time 10 years ago where I really started putting it in place and seeing the effects of sugar, and stimulants, right, on our mood, and on my mood and how I felt. And certainly when our blood sugar levels are fluctuating, and our hormones are fluctuating, we're not going to be steady in mood, mental health or physical health. So yeah, it all started coming together about then, and then it's been a journey over the last decade. And it's even changed significantly since then. So there's a lot there. And there's no one size fits all. It's really different for each person, and everybody has to find their own way through experimentation.
Certainly, I appreciate you sharing that. There's, the concept of having that mind-body connection, and as you spoke about, you had, these aspects of the mind, body, and spirit, but you originally started out focusing on the spirit, focusing on the mind, and then in turn, this really brought about your profound nature to understand the awareness of nutrition, of feeding your body, treating your body correctly. And, when you had all three of these in conjunction with each other, in connection, did you have any defining moment where, it really stuck out to you? Or was there kind of just, a better awareness that you were kind of treating all aspects of yourself, mind, body, and spirit in whole, in connection, at the same time, not in set periods?
I think I have those defining moments day to day, and those defining moments now, and those defining moments, last week, last month, last year. Um, there were different aha moments, you know, that came together. Like when I reversed diabetes 10 years ago, that was certainly an aha moment. And that's when I went from, hey, instead of going towards psychotherapy, I'm going to go to holistic health education and work with folks and share how to do that. And yet, my food plan has changed significantly since that time. So I think like, the defining moments continue to evolve. They continue to happen. I don't know that there was one that put it all together. If it was, it probably wasn't that long ago. I'd say last year was a pretty powerful year. Still on the learning curve.
I think that's the beauty of, what we face throughout life is it's an ongoing practice. It's an ongoing, really journey for ourselves, and we're never going to reach the the pinnacle or the high point. We always have the time to continue to educate, and like you said, it's some ways, as you feed your body differently, as you educate yourself differently, it's going to change the way that you are 5-10 years from now. So what you feed can change what you actually need to intake years down the line, or educate yourself. And there's many different aspects of it, and that's why it's an ongoing journey for everyone, and you can't always reach that end point, which some people see that as a hard step, but some people once you actually get into that routine, see it as such beauty and such grace, because you can continue to learn and continue to improve upon where you are. I think one of the most beautiful things is when you see someone learn from some of the struggles and experiences that they have, and then in turn bring that into sharing insights throughout people's lives moving forward. One way you were able to do that was writing your book, Waving Goodbye to Type 2 Diabetes. Can you share a little bit about, the inspiration behind this, and maybe what's one lesson that someone can learn about, what they can do if they are facing diabetes now, or someone in their community, in their family that they can assist with?
Yeah, writing the book was quite a journey and quite a process. And it was awesome when I kind of checked it off, at the end, complete, having it to share with people, and knowing that people are reading it and it's helping them. And I know that because of the feedback I get. It's very friendly. Folks say that, wow, I felt like the author was holding my hand and taking me through it. And it's really an integration of practices, holistic practices, that become a lifestyle. And it's a how-to intertwined with my personal experiences. And it's a fun read. It's a light read. And the thing that I would love people to come away with is that you can take steps to reclaim your health and get in the driver's seat of your health. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be hard or arduous. You don't have to go from A to Z in a minute. You can start with something simple like, a glass of water with lemon or apple cider vinegar every morning. And, you really start where you are and you take your next unique step. And like you're saying, Brendan, it's really about the journey. It's not even about the end goals. We like to know what we want. We like to know, have a vision, have goals. But really it becomes when we're in it, when we're really embodied in the practices, oh, this is life. This is my life, Some days are better than others, right? Some days there's more joy than others. Some days my body is cooperating more than others. And, I'm so blessed to be in the practices and in this lifestyle.
It certainly takes a lot of acceptance and awareness to understand, it's an ongoing process. It's an everyday journey. But the outcome, to be in touch with the habits that you have throughout the day, to really be fully embraced with the routines that you implement within your life is certainly so valuable. The one thing that you spoke about is, the change of moving to a holistic approach to, treat your own mind and body, and take those steps to treat yourself in a healthy manner. And, can you speak about what was the inspiration, or what led you to change to a holistic approach, and give the audience a little bit of insight of what a holistic approach would be, and what you've done so far within that realm, so they get a good glimpse of, what kind of measures there could be in place, to, gain about a healthy lifestyle holistically.
Yeah, so my holistic practices lifestyle, and that's like the crux of my coaching program, and how I'm able to move people into optimal health. And optimal health by design, right? So that's whatever you design and we create together with the lifestyle. I've learned that we can't fully heal, we can't live our full life's potential if we negate any part of ourselves, right? So body, mind, spirit, because that's who we are. We can't get there just, like with one thing, like, food or nutrition. You can only go so far. You can only go so far if you're not tending to the mind, right? Our thoughts, our beliefs, how that affects how we feel and our results. And spirit or soul and whatever, you or anyone else wants to call it, but that connection, that heart connection, that we can notice when we're, let's say, in nature or connecting to another person or during a meditation. So I've found that, like, it takes an integrated program or plan of putting these steps, putting these practices together and working at it that way. And it can be as simple as having a food plan, having the right food plan for you, which again is an experiment. Moving your body, like taking a daily walk, right? And a simple meditation, or walking in nature, or stretching, or yoga, or deep breathing. Simple practices done over time, daily, to the best of our ability, because success is cumulative and it builds over time. So that's the approach that we take, and it is one that is effective and valuable, and actually you can start to feel results immediately. I mean, within a few days, because there's a saying, and I don't know who said it, it only takes a moment to turn toward the sun. And it's just like, just start, right? Get support, get guidance. Generally, this is not a solo endeavor. So whether that's a coach, a mentor, a friend, a group, a community, and then, just put yourself in the direction that you want to go, one step at a time.
Thank you for sharing that. I think it's such valuable information. I truly believe that lifestyle routines is a large proponent into how we can shake up much of the crisis that's going on within mental health. And it could truly change many people's, own perspectives of themselves and the way that they interact with other people by simply just changing some of, whether it's the habits that they have or implementing some positive routines within their life that can be daily, just to kind of keep them mindful and keep them aware of their present moment. But I think, one aspect of that is really changing someone's perspective to see why something as simple as a 5-minute meditation or a 15-minute walk in nature is going to be that defining moment, rather than, some of the other approaches that are done within the mental health community. And with that being said, I want you to, speak about the different sides of it and why a holistic approach is a great way about going about, treating a mental health issue, treating a mental health challenge, disorder that someone may face, rather than some people or a lot of issues or a lot of treatment measures that have been done throughout society has just been medicate, and it hasn't been changing anything within their lifestyle, or it's strictly, just therapy. And I think the aspect of bringing into the conversation of why lifestyle routines are so important is a great thing to share with my audience.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's so important. Medications have their place, right? And to each their own. Chemical pharmaceuticals will never heal a condition, right? They just don't have that ability. So at best, what we see is we'll depress certain symptoms while accentuating or creating other symptoms. And, we tend to be in an overly medicated society. And again, it has its place, but it's been such the quick fix, right? Because a lot of people in our culture don't want to slow down and honestly don't want to change. But you can't really elevate yourself, beyond the source, the cause, the root of the discomfort or the condition. Like type 2 diabetes, for instance, is a condition. It's not a disease, and it exists in a particular environment. And when we change the environment, we can change the condition, right? So rather than treating the symptoms of what we're experiencing, what we want to do holistically, when we tend to and pay attention to body, mind, and spirit, we can really get more to the root of what's going on. And we've been fooled to think that things need to be complicated, but just try it on for size. If you're listening right now, go for a walk in nature, right? Sit quietly for 5-10 minutes and listen to your breath and pay attention to what you're eating, and do this over time. And I guarantee that you will have growth. What's underneath most of it all the time is mindset. So it starts with our thoughts and our beliefs, and to really investigate what's going on, what you're thinking and what you're believing, because that is going to trigger emotions, and that's where you're going to take action from, and that's what's going to lead you to results that you like or don't like. So, it's an investigation. It can be fun and creative, and it's a life process. It's not a quick, how can I get over this thing? It's how can I kind of settle in here and get my groove and, discover more joy, right? Because what we want is more joy in our lives.
That's really beautifully said, Nicki, and I appreciate that. You bring a good perspective in terms of the way that it's perceived throughout our society. I really enjoy that you said how medication doesn't really heal what's going on. And it's so true, because it never really dives deep into that root of the problem. The medication will never bring you back to trauma, any experience of emotional neglect or emotional abuse that you may have experienced, that you can heal, understand, and change your perception of in order to move forward. It really just changes, many of the different things, such as, the neurotransmitters within your brain of boosting serotonin and dopamine levels, but it never heals you. And that's what something such as, therapy, such as coaching, such as working within your own emotions, within doing meditation or journaling can bring about within the structure of your own life. I would love for you to speak about how either, therapy or coaching just allows you to really dissect and find that root problem and use that in order to, heal and change your perspective of a negative experience, to try to bring that into, a positive light to move forward and take the next steps within your life to kind of alleviate and allow you to move forward within your own life.
Well, therapy and coaching can be two very different processes, first of all. So you have to kind of find what's right for you. And now, as I focus on coaching, what I love and what tends to be at the base is showing clients their own mind. We have a tendency to not recognize, our thoughts and just sort of rattle them out unintentionally, knee-jerk. And we think that we are reporting the news. We think that we are saying what's happening. Well, this is what's true. Like, this is happening to me. This is reality. And this is just what is, right? We think we're reporting the news versus I know that we're actually charting our course. We're charting our course with our thoughts. So that becomes a very different landscape to how we're going to live. And if I can help people see their own mind, see the thoughts that they're choosing, and discover and uncover why, what brought them to those thoughts, right? Not to move away too quickly, but to really kind of build awareness to understand how those thoughts lead to feelings, and those feelings are going to lead us to take action or inaction and then produce our results. We begin to have this roadmap for life, this roadmap for having more joy, this roadmap for getting closer to our vision or living in our vision. This is the type of stuff that's available if we're working on this level and we don't settle into, oh, this is just how it is.
I love how you stated that, because I think the most important thing is, to question, to be curious about that. And that's exactly what you're stating is, just being interested in learning more and diving deeper into your own mindset, your own thoughts, behaviors, in order to, change and move forward and change the relationship within yourself. I think that's, really the key thing before people can start to, change their relationships around themselves and try to interact more effectively with other people in terms of, providing care and love for others. In turn, they need to start within themselves. And that's really where the true healing comes into place, whether they experienced trauma through a relationship of someone else. The healing starts initially with themselves. And through your coaching, through your holistic program, how are you able to, change someone's relationship with themselves and allow them to see the aspects of self-care and self-love that they need to focus on throughout their life?
It starts with a decision. Nobody can be pushed into it. You have to be ready, or at least very curious. When you've come to the place that what you've been doing hasn't been working to the point where you don't feel that great enough of the time, and whether that's physically, emotionally, mentally, and you want something different. I find that most people take action from one of two places, either hitting bottom or coming into like an aha moment and feeling inspired. I try to intervene before, folks hit bottom. But often people come to me once they've hit bottom, and we all have different bottoms, when we feel like, okay, now I can only go up from here. But once that decision is made, for at least exploration and openness, then we can start exploring. And really, once you start feeling better, you want more of it. I mean, at the end of the day, we want to feel good. So if we're on that path and we're seeing results and we're connecting it to our thoughts and our feelings, then we're going to continue doing that, with mercy and without perfection, because, there are ups and downs, and it's all how we ride the stressors that come into our lives, and what meaning we give to them.
It's beautifully said. It really puts into place of, how caring you are for the aspect of self-discovery, self-healing. As you've went through your own experience, now you're using your insights, you're using your knowledge, you put time and effort into, educating yourself to move forward to help other people. And, I just want to know, was there a passion, a burning desire within you when you were younger to serve others, or has this been a big transformation in terms of, just why are you so motivated to assist others through their life as you've been through it yourself?
I would say it's been a big transformation. It wasn't my focus early on to help other people. I was in the helping fields, but I really wasn't truly connecting there. I really wasn't in it. And it was more, this latter part over the last half decade or so where I've come into the service of others. And, it feels like my calling now. And once you've transformed yourself, there's a tendency to want to share that with other people, and help alleviate suffering, help other people liberate themselves. When you can see it, and it's so simple, really, and it's so tangible, and you want to tell someone to just take a moment to breathe, it just, I believe it becomes all of our callings to share our transformation.
Thank you for that. And, as you were speaking, I just had, a little curiosity in terms of, when somebody starts, something as profound as taking the steps to, coach and alleviate people through some serious pain that they've maybe endured throughout their life. It takes some sort of maybe goal or aspiration in terms of, I want to do this within the community, or I want to help out this many people throughout our society. When you were going throughout this process of educating yourself, getting the correct certifications, learning about how you can coach others, was there any goal that you had in place of the mental health field, or is there any now where, your wishes or desires of, what we could do to move forward, or what impact you want to leave within this community as a whole?
My main thing is to tell folks and show and teach how to practice, how to adopt a holistic practices lifestyle, where that ends up looking like your life begins to wrap around your practices. Your life begins to wrap around your self-care practices. And we start to make big moves, and it's different for everybody. It might actually be moving to a different location. It might be, like in my case, leaving a vegetarian food plan after 38 years to start, eating different kinds of proteins and fats. But it's a high level dedication and commitment to your practices, because that's the center point of being in a place of presence. Really be here now, right? Like that 15-year-old found the book decades ago, coming back to the moment, and really the only place where there is everlasting joy.
It's truly so awesome to hear and listen to, because you really are an embodiment of how you live, and you preach it, you message it, you share it with everyone out there. And it's truly a correlation of having that connection. That mind-body connection is the connection that you have within your lifestyle and the work that you do. It's truly commendable to see the way that you work, and it's just seems like fluid nature. And I think that's what truly happens when you find your passion, you find your approach of, what you want to do within your life. And it's definitely shown throughout the work that you do, whether it's your book of Waving Goodbye to Type 2 Diabetes or the Holistic Practices Lifestyle Program. There are, many ways that you're able to really embody who you are, the experiences that you went through, but just what you live and preach throughout your everyday, which is so commendable to see.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You are so welcome. And I want to make sure to have those all linked within the show notes so everybody can get accustomed to that, to really make sure that they take a look. And if they're curious more about your own experiences, they can check and take a look and dive deeper into, the holistic approaches that you've taken within your life. The question that I'd love to ask my guests to really just wrap your whole life experiences, but as well just this conversation into a whole, is the question to basically wrap your own life's experiences into a book. So you have written a book before, but this is going to be any experience, any lesson, any profound moment that you've had throughout your life. And I want you to give us a glimpse into what one chapter really was. So it could be just one defining moment, or it could just be a lesson that you want to share with the audience. And I want to give you the time to just give us a glimpse into, why that is such a important message for you to share with my audience, and why that's going to be the lasting message within this conversation on the episode.
Transformation isn't a question, it's the answer. And it happens moment to moment, day to day. It's a daily practice with really no end goal. The transformation just keeps happening. We keep evolving. And this is what I've found in my life with my physical health, my mental health, my spiritual growth. We find those places where we can create sacred ritual and routine with simple practices and do them to the best of our ability without pressure. Share them with others. Join together in community, because we heal when we come together, stepping out of isolation. And being gentle with ourselves, and realizing that the goal of life is really to love as much as we can from wherever we are, which is a quote by Marianne Williamson, and be in the joy in the present moment.
Beautifully said, as always, Nicki. I really appreciate that honest answer and bringing light as to why transformation is the answer, and it's really not just an opportunity for someone. It's something that we should all be focusing on. Mental health is something that we all have. It's just like physical health. If you're feeding your body in a healthy manner, you need to be doing the same thing to your mind, as well as what we've talked about, your spirit. It's a key aspect in conjunction of having that connection that we spoke about, and really bringing into terms of, being the best version of yourself, being the best you. I think the way that you live yourself, the way that you preach your messages is of the utmost importance. It's the way that most should, because you're teaching through action rather than through delegation of, this is the answer of, this is what you should do, but you're not actually living it. And I think that's what's so valuable to learn from the work that you do and from the way that you live. So, I just want to thank you, Nicki, for taking the time to be the 43rd guest on the Mental Insights podcast and being here with me today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're so welcome. I appreciate the depth of where you go on the show and with your guests, and that we were able to have this conversation. I know that it will touch your listeners, and what a great opportunity for us to be able to share this. So thank you.
You're so welcome, Nicki, and I'm sure we'll be able to find some more time to even dive deeper within this conversation and collaborate more to continue the important conversation within mental health. So, I thank you for continuing the importance within this field and sharing light on something that not many are talking about, but soon enough we'll have the whole world gravitated towards and making sure that they understand that they have mental health. So thank you for being here, Nicki.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Mental Insights podcast. Please screenshot this episode and share any insights that you may have learned throughout this conversation. Please like, subscribe, and review the Mental Insights podcast on whichever streaming platform you are listening on. I appreciate your support, and please share this amongst anyone who you believe should subscribe to the Mental Insights podcast. Thank you all for listening. This has been your host, Brennan Catulli of the Mental Insights podcast.